All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to talk about something pretty fascinating, a cognitive trait called aphantasia. And we're going to pose a kind of wild question. Could the inability to actually picture things in your mind be a superpower?
Okay, I want you to imagine something, if you can. You're at work. Things are going sideways. A huge project is on the verge of collapsing. That deadline is breathing down your neck. You can feel that knot in your stomach, right?
Now, for most of us, our brain starts playing this internal horror movie. You start seeing images of your boss's angry face. You picture disappointed clients. Maybe you even get a flash of yourself clearing out your desk. It's vivid, it's stressful, and it feels incredibly real. But hang on. What if your brain didn't play that movie? What if it understood the crisis but without all those gut-wrenching visuals? What would that even be like? And that question brings us right to the heart of this, the aphantastic brain. It's often described, kind of poetically, as having a blind mind's eye. So what is it, really? Well, aphantasia is simply the inability to voluntarily create mental pictures. So if you told someone with aphantasia to, say, picture an apple, they absolutely know what an apple is. They know it's round, it can be red or green, it has a stem, but they don't see a picture of one floating in their head.
And this difference is absolutely crucial. The visualizing mind sees and feels a crisis viscerally, almost like it's happening right now. But the aphantastic mind, it processes it as abstract information. It knows the outcome could be bad, but it doesn't have to see and feel that future reality. It's the difference between seeing and knowing.
For the longest time, this was just seen as a deficit, right? A lack of something. But what if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if this isn't a weakness, but a hidden strength? This is where the whole story flips on its head, because in certain high-pressure situations, this way of thinking reveals a pretty surprising advantage, turning people with aphantasia into some seriously skilled crisis managers. The source material we're looking at has this fantastic phrase for it, the sweatless advantage. I love that. It just perfectly captures the whole idea. Let's break down what that really means. It all boils down to having an immunity to something called mental sweat, right? It's a great term, but what is it? It's not just general stress. It's something way more specific. Mental sweat is that physical, bodily reaction you get to a purely imaginary scenario. It's your heart racing, your palms getting clammy, your mind getting all cluttered and noisy, all triggered just by the thought of a crisis. It's that visceral intensity that comes from picturing the worst possible outcome. And here is the absolute key. Because people with aphantasia don't create those vivid, stressful mental movies, they don't trigger that same physiological alarm bell. That intense imagery is what lights up our fear centers. But for them, the threat stays conceptual. They're basically shielded from the physical side effects of imagined stress. So how does this actually play out in the real world? Well, it creates this perfect archetype, the cool-headed crisis manager.
So think of it like this. Step 1, a high-stakes crisis hits. Step 2, for the aphantastic mind, that mental sweat response just isn't triggered. Step 3, this lack of physiological noise allows the mind to keep what our source calls a ghost-quiet focus. And step 4, the result of that focus is clear, logical, informed decisions right when they matter the most.
I just love that phrase, ghost-quiet focus. It perfectly describes the mental state. It's not an empty mind, not at all. It's a mind that's just free from all that emotional and physiological static, so it can focus purely on the facts of the problem in front of it. And it is so important to get this straight. This is not about not caring about the outcome. Of course they care. It's just a different style of processing, one that brilliantly separates the problem from the panic, and that allows for a much clearer path to a solution. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, it's that neurodiversity is an amazing thing. What might look like a weakness in one situation can be an unbelievable strength in another. Every single way of thinking has its own built-in advantages. And that leaves us with a really fascinating final thought. If aphantasia holds this kind of incredible advantage, what other superpowers are just lying dormant in the diverse ways our brains are wired? What other hidden strengths are just waiting for the right moment, the right crisis to reveal themselves?